Okay, and we're live.
All right, we're live. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Welcome to another episode of Shariah's Anatomy. I'm Chaplain Gareth Bryant,
I'm James Ferguson.
Dr. James Ferguson.
Yep.
So
So,
we're here with a special episode with COVID-19 updates. So let's get cracking with it.
yeah. So right now, because of the New York's pause order where people are supposed to stay home and not go out, we're recording from two different places. Where are you from right now?
I'm from Bed-Stuy, Brooklyn.
I'm at work right now on Long Island. So, yeah, we're both kind of locked in, aren't we?
Yeah, social distancing.
Dude, a million things changed since last time we spoke, right?
I know, seriously. Yeah. Hajj is officially canceled for real. They actually put out the Hajj minister made
Oh,
an official announcement live. Yeah, Hajj is officially canceled this year.
wow.
Pilgrimage is officially canceled. Yeah. So this is like the first time in 200 years that pilgrimage has been canceled.
Shoot.
Yeah.
That's that's huge, man. That's heavy.
Yeah.
Um,
That's a big deal. Yeah.
Damn. Let's see. Last time we spoke, we were at NYU. It was still like it was on the news, but it wasn't. They weren't shutting anything down yet. Then everything went nuts last week, where they started saying, "Okay, we're locking down the city. Schools are closed. Colleges are closed. Public gatherings are shut
Yeah.
down. Restaurants." Um,
Religious institutions.
yeah. So what happened was
Speaking of,
yeah.
you hear that Trump said he wanted to open up all the churches for Easter services,
Oh man.
which
That's
would
a
drastically put more people in danger and expose them even more to COVID-19.
damn. Really? Yeah, hold on a second. We're getting
Yeah.
some streaming trouble over here on the streaming side.
Uh-oh.
Hold up a sec. It says waiting for live video. If anyone can still hear us, give us a sec. All right, we're back up.
Please be patient with us.
It keeps coming in and out. So while we're here, let me see if my phone is jumping in on Facebook. Let me see what I can get on my side here. Pages. Trying to see if we're live here. Give us a sec while we pause to check up. We're supposed to stay home and not go out. All right, looks like we're back on. If we start dropping out again, I'll let you guys know. Shoot.
All right, cool.
I think it's been happening again.
Yeah, so give us the rundown, give up the scoop of the latest stats and the latest updates and the latest treatment ventures that they're seeking out.
All right, so I know people are like bugging out, like, is this really a big deal? Is this something that we have to worry about? And the short answer is yeah. The number of cases has been doubling. I don't know if anyone's been watching the press conferences by the governor or health department stuff. The number of cases has gone up and up and up. We are now at over 30,000 cases, probably 60,000 cases in New York State right now. In case we get lost, we're going to record this live stream for later. We'll post it up another time, but we're still recording. You still with me, Gareth?
Out of those 30,000 cases in New York State, how many of them are in New York City, in the 5 boroughs?
That's a good question. I'm going to check it up for you while we're talking. We're doing this live, so we don't have. This is like an emergency podcast, so we didn't like plan for this. For everyone who's watching.
Exactly. Very impromptu.
Very impromptu, yes. Let's see. COVID cases. All right. The numbers have been going up and up and up. You're talking about there were 6,400 new cases in just the last 24 hours. So we're talking about, as it currently stands, 37,258 cases in New York State. The breakdown is 21,300 for New York City, Long Island, Nassau County, 3,900, Suffolk County, where I am right now, 2,700. So I've been watching every single day. It went from 0 cases to 1 case, to 3 cases, to 10 cases, to 60 cases, to 100 cases, to 200 cases, to 500 cases, to 1,000 cases. It doubles and doubles. The average person who gets sick gives it to 2 other people on average, which is why it's getting out of control. New York City set now, so we're going to have that
Well,
total
actually, it's
lockdown.
been even more than that since people haven't been testing. Because of the 14-day incubation window, the average COVID-19 person has the propensity to infect about maybe 8 people. And that's almost 1 person every 2 days.
Yeah.
That's how fast it's spreading.
Yes. It's getting kind of nuts out there. Absolutely. Give me a sec. I'll make sure that we got the stream working okay. Let me dial the stream back.
Is the Facebook stream working okay?
Facebook stream keeps getting interrupted. I'm trying to slow it down a little bit, see if that helps.
Okay.
I think we're better now.
Well, like you said, we're recording it, so worst case scenario, you can just upload it to the Facebook site.
Yes.
Facebook page.
Yes. So everyone else, if anyone's having some trouble, sorry about that. We're working on keeping it working. Let's see.
Technology is clearly not on our side.
No, the internet's under strain. Everyone's working from home. So everyone's either on the computer, they're on Facebook, they're video chatting. The internet itself is getting hit.
You're on everywhere. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So we were saying the reason New York shut down everything is because we can't stop the spread. It's getting bigger and bigger. When we were first talking before, it was containment. The idea was anyone gets tested, they get quarantined, we track down anyone they were nearby, they get quarantined too and stop the spread. At this point, the spread, it's out of control. We can't stop it. The health department says we can't contain this anymore. That has failed. Now we're just doing what they call mitigation strategies. So here's the laydown. Everyone who gets it, about 30% of people who do get it get sick, really sick, enough that they have to go to the hospital. And there's not enough hospital beds. So since it can spread to everyone, and we estimate probably by the end of the year, about half of the world will get it. No one's immune to it. No one's naturally immune to it. The virus is so new. No one's got antibodies to it.
Half of the planet?
Half the planet.
They're projecting half of the planet will get COVID-19 by the end of the year?
End of the year or 18 months. Yeah, by next summer, half the planet will be exposed to it. So
No. Okay, being exposed to it is one thing, but I'm talking about actually acquiring it. So you're saying they're projecting that 4 billion people are going to acquire COVID-19?
They think so. It's super contagious. No one's got any immunity to it, so it looks like no one's naturally immune to it. People just get it. Most people will just get mild, you get a cough, or it goes away, but some people get really sick. So that's our problem we got. You look at a place like China where it just got overwhelmed. New York City, New York is a pretty dense place. People live really close. People take the subway. It's really easy to spread to other people. If the country, on average, gives it to one person gives it to 2 people in New York City, you're talking about... I lost you for a second there. Hello?
Yeah, that's a lot of people because of the density, right?
Oh, yeah.
But what about the reports that's saying that about 88% or almost 90% of the COVID-19 cases in China have recovered fully?
The majority of them do recover. The problem we're looking at is if 2 or 3 out of 10 people get really sick and to go to the hospital, there's not enough hospital beds. And that's the problem we're dealing with.
Right.
So you're looking at this peak. If we get to like 100,000...
the issue is more the fact that it continues to spread, not in turn. The issue is not the recovery rate, because the recovery rate is very high.
Yeah.
The problem is the fact that it's still spreading.
Right. So it's still spreading, which means it's not, the number of cases is going up. You look at a place like Italy where suddenly everyone went to the ER at the same time. And now you have a long line of people, I'm sick. And from what we had before, looking at China, about like 2% of people who got COVID died. But you know what? A lot of those people, they had to go to the hospital. They spent some time in the hospital, got sent home. Some people got really sick, went to the ICU, had to be put on oxygen. And then they got better and got sent home. A couple of people did not get better and died. Because a place like Italy where everyone got sick, there's too many people. And as a result, there's not enough oxygen to go around. So people who probably would recover in the hospital died anyway because there's just not enough doctors, not enough hospital beds, not enough oxygen. So
not just that, in Italy is known to have one of the oldest populations in the world outside of Japan. They have a very old population. So like the vast majority of Italians who died from COVID-19 have been people who are 60 plus with severe health conditions prior to COVID-19.
Right.
So that's literally one of the reasons why Italy got hammered so hard.
Exactly. We're not a healthy bunch, you know. We're not the healthiest group of Americans.
The United States is going to get hit even harder because of people living unhealthy lifestyles.
Yeah. And that's the thing. We're looking at a situation where, you know, people who, well, if you smoke, if you have COPD, if you have diabetes, if you have asthma, you know, you're a much sicker person. So it's not like you just get over it like everyone else. You're at higher risk of having problems.
Right.
You have a heart problem, a heart condition. You know, these are all going to be big problems. So that's what we're stuck with. Health department realizes we're going to have, as it doubles and doubles, we can count what's going to happen. It's going to hit some big peak. And they said in about, if it's doubling and doubling, if it doubles every week, you know, by end of April, we're going to have more cases than there are hospital beds. Because if 3 out of 10 people, 30% of the public has to go see a doctor, go to the hospital for this, we don't have enough hospital beds. We're looking at, according to Governor Cuomo, sorry a sec. According to Governor Cuomo, we're going to need 110,000 hospital beds at the same time for all these people, and that, or maybe 130,000 hospital beds. You add up every hospital in New York, there's only 53,000 hospital beds for every hospital all combined. Once we realize that, they're like, oh shoot, we're going to have too many people and not enough doctors. People who are going to need oxygen can't get oxygen. People who are going to need, you know, treatment can't get treatment. So if only 1% of the public died from it, you know, now this is higher, because if the people can't get treated, you're going to have to 2%, 5%, 7% of the public could die if they don't get treated.
But see, here's where the plot thickens. Is like, who is going to be deciding who lives and who dies?
That's the problem. We don't have good info on this.
That's the problem.
Italy did not do a good job.
Which obviously brings us to the Islamic perspective of the ethics, the bioethics.
So that's a
who gets to live, who gets to die.
Who gets to live, who gets to die. We don't have a great strategy for it. We never had that situation in the U.S. where that happened. You know, we never had a shortage that bad. It was like, okay, who gets the oxygen? The old person who is going to die without it, the young person who may live without it, but I'm not sure. You know, but they have a long life to live. We don't have a good answer. They never came up with a great answer for this.
So basically, every hospital in the world, their bioethics committees are going to be having meetings damn near every day.
Oh yeah,
pertaining to things like this.
They're all losing sleep right now because they know that 4 weeks from now they're going to get absolutely slammed, and there's not going to be anything because we watch. The U.S., New York is 4 weeks behind the curve on Italy. So Italy got, everything got shut down, lots of dead people. They couldn't handle the number of people coming in. We are going to have the same thing happen in 4 weeks because we just got a little slower. We got the spread hit them first and hit us second of COVID. So what's going to happen is you're going to
also have to remember the fact that international air travel hasn't stopped is not helping either.
No, that's good. That's also a thing. Air travel. Well, all these travel bans, all of these stay-at-home orders, all these closures of stadiums and clubs and everything, it slowed down, but it didn't stop it. It's speeding up, and we tried to. It's not working. So now they're saying brace for it. We're going to get hit really hard. So all the health departments, everyone's saying, okay. We used to say everyone get tested. Now they said next thing, we ran out of masks. We ran out of gloves. We ran out of those, space suits to wear, the gowns that people wear to prevent getting sick.
Hazmat suits, right.
Yeah, we don't have enough. And if I...
And guess what? Guess where all of those things are being made? China.
Yes. They're being made in
And
China.
guess what happened in China? Mass production has slowed down because of COVID-19.
Right. It's bad. We are in a lousy pickle. So the health department said, okay, new rules, stop testing everyone. We don't have enough test kits. We didn't have enough test kits. So now we've got more test kits, but not enough masks and gloves. We risk the doctors and nurses and staff getting infected, because if they get infected, they have to stay home from work, which means now the hospitals don't have enough people.
Obviously.
So it's almost
which
like,
means potentially more people are going to die.
you know, there's a really good rule. There's no emergency in a pandemic, meaning, like, if you think of like a fire, you know, the firefighter doesn't run into the building unless they got their turnout gear, the fireproof coat, the oxygen mask, you know, the helmet on. Because if you run in without it, yes, you might get there faster, but you might be a victim. Then they have to treat you too. They have to save you next.
Right.
So now we have a problem
Right.
where they're saying, okay, this is emergency. We lock everything down, test everyone who is sick in the hospital, lock down the hospitals, no more visitors. They're turning anyone who's regular sick, if you could go home if you're in the hospital, send you home. We're going to need every bed that we need, every bed out there. Over here on Long Island, you know, I'm not going to say where, we got 500 beds. We usually have 500 patients in the hospitals at any given time over here, all right? Right. Now, 350 beds are filled with COVID cases, and they're crowding out everyone else who's sick. If you broke your leg or something, you're going to the hospital anyway. But if you got like regular pneumonia or something, if you can go home, stay home. We need the beds. So that's the problem.
And you know what the irony is? You know what the irony is? Because there's so much emphasis on COVID-19, there's going to be a lot of other things that people are going to end up getting very, very sick and or dying from. Like, for example, remember we mentioned the last time, there's about 700,000 people that die annually from just regular flu.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But with this COVID-19 business, it's just a whole nother. I mean, I'm not saying that it's gonna end up with more deaths than regular flu, but just the fact that it's spreading so fast, that's really the major thing. Because as it stands now, there's about 400,000 confirmed cases globally.
Yeah.
And 5% of those almost 400,000 cases have ended in death. So far, there's almost 20,000 people who've died from COVID-19 worldwide.
Oh, yeah. And we're just getting started.
Which basically about 5% of the COVID-19 cases.
Yeah.
But like you said, the fact that it's still spreading, but also is that over 100,000 people have fully recovered. So it just as it seems as it's kind of getting closer to people who are recovering, you start to take into consideration that people are still dying. So in spite of the fact that more people are recovering, you still have more people who are dying as well.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like for every 20 steps you take, you get knocked 10 steps backwards. It's like that type of thing.
Yeah, it is. This is like a plague which we've never seen before. This is the plague for our lifetime.
Oh, yeah. I mean, well, fortunately, let's hope that this doesn't get worse than the Spanish flu. Because the Spanish flu wiped out 10 million people flat.
Yes. Spanish flu actually wiped out 50 million people. It was that bad.
Oh, no, it's 50 million. Yeah, 50 million. 50 million. 50 million. 50 million. Yeah.
Thank God this is not as deadly, but this is more contagious.
And that's the issue. That's the issue.
Yeah.
That's the issue. Yeah. I mean, I'm grateful to Allah that it's not as deadly as Spanish flu.
Yeah.
I'm very grateful for that.
That's true.
But you know, and this is going to cause drastic damage to healthcare systems. Like, for example, what you mentioned about the ventilators and the oxygen and stuff like that. One has to ask, since we're speaking from the ethical perspective, because obviously, you know, they charge people for oxygen in hospitals.
Yeah.
But in desperate situations like this, is it even ethical to charge people for oxygen? You know, because oxygen is a dire necessity for people, especially in these type of conditions. So this is an ethical issue. Like, are you gonna actually keep charging people for oxygen as opposed to freeing people from the oxygen charge? It's just like if there were a severe water crisis.
Yeah.
Would you still be charging people for water, or would you lift the water prices? Or would you eradicate or put a ban on the water prices? So what are the hospitals doing? Are they putting bans on the oxygen charging? Are they still charging insurance companies for oxygen?
Right. We're seeing right now a split between the rich and poor patients already. You know, you come in.
It's abundantly clear. It's pathologically clear. Yeah.
No one can deny it. I mean, at this point, every NBA player got tested, and I'm telling people, go home. I can't test you right now. How is that happening?
Exactly. And all of these celebrities got tested with no problem. As a matter of fact, there's spots in New York and New Jersey, everywhere, they're talking about appointment only. What do you mean appointment only? That's ridiculous.
Oh, yeah. People are waiting all weekend, 3 or 4 days to get tested. There's a long line. How did that happen?
Now, there was something that was leaked.
Yeah.
There was something that was leaked. I don't know whether this is confirmed, but it was leaked that the United States knew about COVID-19 since October of 2019.
I'm not sure about the U.S. China started getting some weird cases last year. The reason it's COVID-19 is because they discovered it in 2019. They started seeing cases.
Right.
They reported China started seeing a bunch of people get pneumonia, but nothing was treating it. Antibiotics weren't working, and regular virus tests were coming back negative. They said it's not the flu. What is it? And they had tested for SARS because that's what they had before, and that was not it either. This is a new virus. So in December, they said, okay, this is a new virus you never saw before. In December, and they told the World Health Organization, in December, we're reporting a new virus. We know now, looking back at patients who got sick, patients who died,
that's what it was.
You know, way before then, what was it? Okay, that's what it was. So I don't know if the U.S. had any cases. We definitely had cases in China. People were getting sick and getting pneumonia. People who worked in like the food market, like the live pigs and live chickens, you know, they were getting sick.
Yeah, the livestock. Yeah.
The livestock market. They were getting sick from it. And if like 20 people got sick, they're like, okay, they're all getting sick from the same thing. We don't know what it is. Then they started calling the state health department, we need help here. Something's going on and people are dying. So the alarm got spread. The U.S. knew about it probably early on around then because they were warned about it. But you're looking at the U.S. We have documented that the U.S. told the president in January there's a new virus that's spreading around Asia. It could hit America. Homeland Security is now tracking it because, hey, it's going to hit us. So we knew about that early on. They didn't want to do anything about it in the beginning. Now you're going to see a million people pointing fingers, you know. Trump is trying to say it's not my fault, it's China's fault.
You know why? Because the U.S. government clearly dropped the ball.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, absolutely. The system, there are big warning lights. You know, we're going to have a problem. We're going to have a problem. It's getting bigger, and it's really contagious. And they saw it coming. New York always says it's not a question of if, it's a matter of when it's going to hit America. New York always gets this. New York gets Ebola. New York gets SARS. New York gets Zika virus. New York gets chikungunya.
Because New York City is one of the premier international cities.
Yeah. We have a major international airport. Yeah, JFK Airport around the world. Anything gets here. Yeah. Always. We also have LaGuardia. We got Newark Airport. We got major train hubs and international interstate highways that hit here. You got
the national hub, Chicago. You got LAX. You got Miami.
Yeah, New York gets so much traffic from the rest of the world that we get it first. So New York's health department says, okay, it's a question of when. They've been preparing for this for over 10 years. It said, you know, we got lucky with SARS, we got lucky with Ebola. We're going to get hit by something, and they've been stockpiling masks and oxygen equipment and everything else. But we didn't prepare enough, you know. We thought it was going to be different. We thought there was going to be a better treatment. The antibiotics don't work for it. They're testing, to be fair, the health department is testing some new treatments for it because this is not a DNA virus. This is an RNA virus. It's a special kind of virus. It turns out HIV is also an RNA virus. So they were testing, do HIV meds work on it? And some doctors in China said yes. Some doctors in China said no, it's not doing anything. So they're trying.
Since you mentioned that, educate us on the difference between a DNA virus and an RNA virus.
So, your body has DNA. That's how your body stores all of its information. Your body will turn it into RNA temporarily to send it to the cells to say make insulin, make proteins, grow hair.
Or make body hair. Right.
Yes. So your body stores the DNA, but it uses RNA to write things temporarily. So some viruses will make RNA and trick the cells to make more virus. So COVID is an RNA virus. It skips DNA step completely. It doesn't have DNA. It only has RNA. So it tells the parts of the cells, start manufacturing virus, make virus envelopes, make virus capsules, make virus hooks, and just make virus like factories. So it does the stuff we have that attacks DNA. We have certain medications that will attack DNA, like chemo and stuff. It doesn't work on these viruses. They don't have DNA. So there are some medications that interrupt RNA, and that's what we've been using for HIV. It works kinda, and that's what they're using on COVID. It's working kinda, and that's all we got. So people who get COVID, a lot of people will recover, but the problem is if everyone gets sick on the same exact day, we're flooded. We don't have enough doctors. You're just going to die at home. Not that dramatic, but, that's the thing.
That's a game changer.
That's what Italy had. Italy said, okay, we have 5 people, and we only have oxygen for one of them. We only have a ventilator to pump oxygen for one person. Who gets it? And so the doctor had to make a call, and they said they're traumatized because, okay, I had to let a 60-year-old, 2 60-year-old people die so I can give it to a younger guy who's 25 who got it. I'm not sure. Now you're starting to see the state is trying to fast track and buy ventilators and oxygen equipment for everyone. They're trying to get them out of the operating rooms, say we're going to use that because the hospital parts need them. We're trying to order them from overseas. We're working on it. Now, they also had, you may have heard, they discovered a new way to have, people share the same ventilator.
Contamination.
Lost you there for a second. What was the last thing you said?
No, I was saying when you mentioned about having people share a ventilator, that's potentially very dangerous as well because that's like cross-contamination.
It's very dangerous because, for one thing, if you're, you and I are different heights, you have different sized lungs. If I start, putting a linebacker's oxygen into a kid, they're going to blow their lungs out. They can get damaged. And yet, there's cross-contamination. And a million other things. If you start breathing, the pressure's going to change. They said, I talked to the anesthesiologist. They said, this is last resort. Yeah, they'll do it, but it's really dangerous. So now, okay, here's the ethics question you're going to get. Okay, fine. I can give a ventilator for one healthy 25-year-old, or I could split it between a 25-year-old and a 70-year-old, but there's a risk they'll both get hurt by that. So do I risk one life? Do I risk 2 lives? What am I going to do? It's possible splitting it could hurt or even potentially kill both of them.
Right.
So now is it first come, first serve? Well, the 25-year-old guy was already on the machine. I'm not going to take him off of it and split it. Or is it, no, how can we save the most lives? I don't know.
Again, it's getting into this guessing game of quote unquote who gets to live versus who gets to die.
Yeah. I wanted to be a doctor for a very long time. I don't want to do this. I don't like the thought of playing God. I don't like the idea of who lives and who dies. That was never something I wanted to do.
Because that's something that weighs heavy on your conscience, especially for us as Muslims. It's like, what Muslim wants to make that type of decision?
Yeah, exactly. Who does?
Because even if you make the right decision, Allah's still going to ask you about it.
Right. So,
you know what I'm saying?
What can we do about it, man?
this is really rough.
The doctors in
Really,
Italy who
so
got through this said they were
based
really
on human projection,
Yeah.
is there any way that they see this stopping on its own environmentally or naturally?
In a way, like we don't. The problem is we don't know. That's the better answer is we don't know, because I'll tell you why. If this was like
Right.
chickenpox or measles, you get it, you
Right.
get sick for 10 days, you get better. You never get sick a second time. We're looking at
Right.
certain people in China, it looks like their antibodies go down after 3 months. So it's possible you could get sick a second time. Now, if it was option A, where you only get sick once, you have antibodies, and never get sick again with COVID, it's a one-shot deal. Okay, eventually enough people will get sick and recover from it that there'll be called herd immunity. The amount of people who could get sick goes down and down and down until the tip's over. If 60% of the population got antibodies to this and everyone stayed apart, then it's never going to spread anymore. But if you could get sick again from it and people are still really tightly packed in New York City, you're going to need 90% of the people to be immune to it before it spreads. You look at something like measles.
Right.
Measles spreads in New York because there's so many people who are almost everyone's got vaccines in New York City for measles. 95% of the population has either has gotten measles as a kid or they got vaccines so they don't get it. So a sick person
like the
measles,
mixture, the combo, measles, mumps, rubella, right?
Yeah. So that's the thing. You get the combo. So as a result, if one person got measles and is walking around down the street, they're not going to give it to anyone else because everyone around them is already immune.
Right.
You're going to find eventually certain families who don't have it, certain communities. That's why Brooklyn started getting like these little clusters of like 40 kids with measles. They were all from the same, school in the same neighborhood. They were all from the Hasidic Jewish community, for example, and they all got measles. And one person brought it to them. But they walk around, they're on the subway, they're on the bus. No one else got sick because most of us have immunity. And the reason, there's people in the Bronx who are also vulnerable, who could get it. They're at risk, but they didn't get it because measles couldn't find a way to get from Brooklyn to the Bronx without people. There's no connections. So
what about the people who are the carriers? What about the 80% of people who contract COVID-19 who will probably never manifest any of the severe life-threatening symptoms? Are these people probable to develop some immunity, or is this something that will weaken their immunity?
Not sure. If we pretend that everyone gets immune for life, it's going to take the rest of the year before enough people become immune for everyone to go out and not spread it without a vaccine. It's just going to be like that. If it's
right. But I mean, obviously, clearly, there's no vaccine on the table anytime soon.
They're working on some. They have a couple they have made as experiments, but they don't know if it works. I just want to tell everyone, the way we do vaccines is we do trials. We do phase 1, phase 2, phase 3 trials. We have healthy volunteers we give it to. And first we see, okay, is the vaccine poisonous? Is it toxic? Are there any side effects? Okay, fine. Then does it work?
That's a huge sacrifice, by the way, for someone to volunteer to do that.
Oh, yeah. That's a big sacrifice. Because,
because realistically, volunteering yourself for a vaccine could kill you, realistically.
Realistically, it could. It could shut down your kidneys and cause liver failure. It can make you sicker. It can make you more vulnerable. It can cause other problems. Like when they tested the Lyme disease vaccine in New York, people got arthritis from the vaccine.
Wow.
And so there was that. Some people got allergic to it. If you're allergic to it, what if your breathing stops? I mean, people got some dangerous stuff with it.
Right.
When they were testing the HPV vaccine, they did report one person got a blood clot and died. Was it from the vaccine?
Wow.
We're not sure, honestly, but it's listed in the instructions. Like, look, we tested on someone did die from it, so watch out for it. The polio vaccine is my favorite example. Okay, polio vaccine saved millions and millions of lives, but the first vaccine wasn't very refined. And so there was a risk, like a 1% risk, that you could get polio from the vaccine itself. And at the time, in the 60s, those were good odds. Okay, almost if 3 out of 10 kids are getting polio every summer, then we got to get the vaccine. It's the only way to save lives.
Right.
Back in New York City, 1920s, diphtheria was a dangerous disease that caused your throat to swell up and you choke to death. 30% of people who got it died.
Wow.
It was real bad, and they had no way to stop it.
That's a huge chunk of people, man.
At the peak in like 1910, that was the worst thing. They couldn't stop it, so they gave the vaccine out. And the vaccine, it wasn't very refined. People got allergic to the vaccine. People died from the allergy to the vaccine. But, it was still less death. And they said, everyone, I'll take those odds. Almost everyone says, I'll take those odds. I'll take the vaccine because it was the safer choice.
But see, that's also the thing, too, with this COVID-19. And that's why I'm saying to people, the fear and panic culture is actually more lethal than the COVID-19 itself. Fear and panic could kill people faster than any disease or plague outbreak.
Yes.
Because of this fear and panic, people are going to be rushing to take a vaccine. They're going to try to rush. They're going to try to put pressure to get a vaccine that's not ready or that's not refined, and it could possibly cause more deaths.
Right. So this is the issue. They're going to test. We're at
a very tight crossroads.
We're at a very tight crossroads, and the question is, what's we going to put up with? Because a lot of people saying, I don't care what it is. Give me whatever drugs. I'll test them myself. Because we saw that when HIV happened.
As a matter of fact, people try to do home remedies, and they ended up getting killed because of these home remedies they were trying, like in Iran. People literally getting alcohol poisoning because they were drinking alcohol and industrial rubbing alcohol, and a lot of people ended up dying because of that.
Yes. There was a rumor that chloroquine, which is a malaria medication, could help. So as a result, because of the rumors, everyone went out and started buying it. And Trump was on TV saying, I hear chloroquine could help. What do you have to lose? So people overdosed in Nigeria on chloroquine and died. So, I mean, it's a medication.
If I'm not mistaken, I think there's some cases in New York where people died as well. Or were really sick because they didn't know.
There's been cases people overdose on it. In Arizona, some people, chloroquine it's a chemical. We use it to cure malaria. We use it to treat malaria in low doses. It's also industrial cleaner. It's used to clean fish tanks. And so someone says, oh, chloroquine's on the bottle. It's on the label. And the president said, take it. So this idiot took it. And 2 people got really, really sick, and one of them died from eating the fish tank cleaner. So that's what we're dealing with.
Desperation. And like I said, this is a direct result of fear and panic culture.
Yeah. Because
when people are afraid and when they panic, they'll get desperate.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, absolutely. And that's the thing. Every time there's a fear and panic culture, crazy things happen. When HIV first came on the scene, actually, when AIDS first came on the scene, because they didn't know what HIV was, it took years to figure out what's causing AIDS. There was such a panic.
Right.
One scientist went out there and says, I think it's in the air. I think it's airborne. And everyone who heard that flipped out. It took like a year to prove that guy was wrong. So everyone was in a state of panic. People were, remember Ryan White, one of the first kids who had HIV. This guy HIV was not allowed in school. Rumors that he was going around to supermarkets.
Yeah, I remember that story.
And touching all the food, peeing on all the fruit in the supermarket aisle. So therefore, we're all going to get sick. There were rumors. You probably remember this in New York that people who have AIDS will put the needles in the phone payphones. So when you get the coins out of the out of the payphone, you get stuck. People were afraid to use the phone.
Yeah.
There was a lot
I remember that.
of that. People weren't sure if you could get it from sweat.
But to be honest, people actually were putting syringes in the payphones.
Were they really? I mean, I heard rumors.
People were actually doing that. People actually were doing that.
Oh, my God.
And that's one of the reasons how that became such a scare is because people were actually doing that.
Oh wow, that really is.
You forgot how wild New York City used to be and how treacherous New York City used to be.
That is true. Oh
yeah,
man. But that's one of the problems we have, because at the time when AIDS first came out, they're like, could it be get us from sweat? We don't really know for sure, not 100%. So there were the problems were like
everything was a guessing game.
It was a guessing game. If there was at the time, you know how like right now China has the most cases and Italy has the most cases, right? So when AIDS happened,
China also has the most recovery rates also.
Well, that's true. But when
unlike
AIDS
Italy,
happened,
by the way.
Yeah. So when AIDS happened, they said it looks like for some reason Haitians are getting it. We don't have no idea why Haitians get it or more getting it than everyone else. They just got it sooner.
And that's why they labeled it a Haitian disease, right? The 3 H's, when they said you either a homosexual, Haitian, or a heroin addict.
Or hemophiliac.
Right. That too, yeah.
So when that happened, people said, are Haitians, is there something with their body? Maybe their blood is weaker? Is it something that just spread? So if you were Haitian, they wouldn't let you try out clothes in the clothing store. You couldn't try on shoes in the shoe store. Because
Haitian immigrants had it really rough. Haitian Americans had it really rough. Yeah. And some of those same things that happened in the 80s are happening to Chinese people and Chinese Americans or Chinese people all over the world. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It was crazy. They didn't have, because there's a lot of uncertainty, just like now. Everyone says, wow, now we have the internet, people get news right away. Yes. But at the same time, rumors spread right away. But what news? You know, right. All the rumors spread about God knows what. And,
about everything.
And that's the problem. And this is what we're stuck with. So, people ask me, what should I do? Well, one thing, everyone please stop spreading rumors. I know people say, I only spread things I know are true. You know, everyone says, I heard from a friend, or I saw on WhatsApp this video and I sent it. Everyone does this, but unless you know for sure where this came from, don't spread things. This is how rumors are that, you know, ibuprofen will kill you if you have COVID. And this is why I went to the store, the pharmacy, CVS. All the Tylenol on the shelf is empty. There's a million bottles of ibuprofen because rumor has it one's good, one's not. You know?
Yeah. Just like things about like toilet tissue. Why the hell is toilet tissue trending? Toilet tissue is not going to save you from COVID-19.
Right. Right. I think these are people who are like, I'm going to lock myself in a bunker, never leave the apartment for 3 months. I'm going to have so much toilet paper. If you do the math, you're never going to need that many sheets of toilet paper.
No, forget that. Toilet paper is not more important than water. It's not more important than food. You got people spending around the world, people spending billions of dollars on toilet paper, and they're not spending half as much of that on water. Water is more essential than toilet paper.
Absolutely.
Food is more essential than toilet paper. You can realistically survive anything without toilet paper. You ain't going to survive without water. You ain't going to survive much without food.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You have some people, they have cabinets full of toilet paper and their refrigerators ain't got no food in it. Ain't got no clean water in it.
Right. People are not good.
Their priorities are just horrible. Yeah, they have no priorities. Yeah. Their priorities are really jammed up.
It's not a hurricane, everyone. This is not Sandy where, you know, we're going to be like a mess. You're still going to have water. The taps are going to work. You're going to have electricity. The phones are still going to work.
Exactly. But like I said, fear and panic culture, when you establish fear and panic culture and you spread it, you can get anyone to do anything. You can get anyone to fall for anything. And that's why in times like this, obviously we know as Muslims, the most important thing is to remember that Allah is always in control.
Yeah.
And that Allah is Rabbul Alameen. Allah is the Lord of the universe. Allah Allah runs this, not us. That's
Mm-hmm.
number one. Number two, we know Muhammad, peace be upon him, he's given his promise that his prophetic guarantee that Allah has never allowed a disease to exist without a cure. It doesn't matter whether the disease is man-made or whether it's found in nature. It doesn't matter.
I see.
There's always a cure. It doesn't matter whether the disease is man-made or found in nature. Allah, out of His mercy, He will always ensure that a cure will be discovered or that it already exists.
Yes.
It's just that we have to seek it out.
That's good.
You know? And then the third thing is we have to stop submitting ourselves to fear and panic culture. Because fear and panic culture kills faster than any disease or plague outbreak.
I see. Exactly. People, that's why people say, well, how come the health department didn't have everyone shelter in place? How come we didn't all do this in January? Well, because people would flip out. There's going to be people will run and have shortages on food. I heard from someone who went to Trader Joe's.
There would have been riots everywhere.
Yeah, every health department, every supermarket, ran out of food because everyone oh my God, we're going to get it now. And so they had to slowly scale things up, make sure everything's working,
Literally, yeah. It's and honestly, it's still like that. You have people that are literally running amok still.
Yeah. And that's what we're stuck with, But I do want to come back to that.
So
everyone.
By year's end, what's the human projection in terms of COVID-19 cases holistically? We're already almost at the 400,000 mark. So in other words, by December, what's the human projection in terms of how many people globally are projected to acquire COVID-19?
Acquire or die from? Because you're looking.
No, acquire.
All right. It's estimated that, depending on if everyone locks down the same way New York did, because other states haven't done that yet. Other countries have not done that yet. They're waiting. They're going to see, can we wait till April and do it? They're waiting to see. If nothing is done, you're talking about 4 billion people minimum will get COVID. If nothing is done. If what we're doing right now, locking things down, restricting travel, social distancing, we're reducing the number. So we're reducing the number right now to see what we can best do. But as the way things are right now, we're looking at minimum 40 million people will die from COVID by the end of the year. Worldwide. 40 million worldwide, and that's being real. Actually, I think I'm being that's probably lowballing it. That's assuming.
So based on your medical expertise, you're saying that the human projection is that the death toll will surpass Spanish flu.
It can. If nothing is done, if we don't get a vaccine quick enough, if healthcare systems break down, we have good healthcare. If you were by yourself and you got COVID and there's no one else who got it, we'll put you in the ICU. We'll have round-the-clock doctors. We'll put you on a ventilator. We'll give you life support until it clears up. We can do some stuff. But if everyone needs that, the intensive care unit, the ICU at the hospital, is maybe 30 beds. That's for the real sickest of the sick. If we have 100 people who need the ICU and only 30 beds, what are we going to do? I only have oxygen and ventilators and life support machines for 30 people. So you're looking at a real breakdown.
And that goes back to the ethics, is that who gets the ventilators? Who decides who gets the ventilators?
Mm-hmm.
And like you said, in terms of this, the privilege of the affluent is made very, very clear.
Oh, yeah.
In contrast to the disposition of the impoverished or the low class.
Yeah. I don't like to I don't like to spread rumors, but there is some truth to the idea that Bill Gates is spending $200 million on this giant floating house. It's going to be solar powered, green yacht that you can live on it for forever. And so if he wants to isolate himself and say, I'm going to go out to sea and wait until this virus is gone, he could. You and I can't.
Exactly. We're in the trenches, especially since we're healthcare providers. As a matter of fact, did you see the video that surfaced when I think he was speaking in I think 2014 or something like that. He was speaking about a virus that's kind of like basically take the world by storm and stuff like that. Do you remember you remember seeing a video when Bill Gates was speaking about like a particular type of disease or something like that that's going to like take the world by storm? Do you remember hearing about that or
I did
seeing
remember
it?
hearing about this, and he wasn't wrong because the World Health, public health official world has always said, yeah, we've always been due for something. Viruses mutate, and eventually we get something that spreads like deadly. Remember bird flu? Bird flu spread like regular flu, really contagious like this. But that one killed 8 out of 10 people. That was nuts. We were terrified about that one because it spreads like the flu. It's like COVID,
Right.
but it was way deadlier. Fortunately, the
Right.
world managed to really like lock things down and catch it early. We got lucky, like sort of dodged a bullet, you know. Ebola, did we dodge a bullet? Ebola looked the bullet hit us, you know, but it was like a rubber bullet. It wasn't like a
Right.
44 or anything. So yeah, we got Ebola in
Right.
the U.S. We had to track down people and isolate a lot of people, but we caught it early and we really locked everything down. You know,
As opposed to now where the ball was dropped.
it takes up to 2 weeks before you can show symptoms. So it looks like maybe you can start spreading it before you show symptoms. Maybe, before you get a fever.
No, definitely. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the only
And like I said,
explanation.
80% of people who acquire it are not going to manifest the severe life-threatening symptoms, but they still are going to be able to pass it on to others. And it could be that one person who doesn't suffer immensely from it, they can pass it to maybe 2 or 3 people that may end up dying from it.
Yes. Right. It's going to be crazy. Trying to think what else there is to talk about.
And also, like, what's the projection in terms of whether or not this is like seasonal? Like, I mean, are people projecting this to be like kind of like a seasonal thing or a one-time thing? What's the most accurate or honest projection humanly? Is the most accurate projection humanly? Is it that this is a one-time thing or is it a seasonal thing?
Well, we're looking at, based on how regular viruses work, most viruses do have a season. They do come and go. Flu season ends. Right now we're in chickenpox season. March, April, like it's kind of chickenpox for some reason it's the most during the year. We don't even know why. It just does. For some reason we thought maybe the temperature, like when the winter happens, there's more flu because you're indoors more and you're around sick people more, because you're not outside as much. Everyone gets
right.
people get the cold, so they have a weakened immune system already. Maybe because of all the cold, it makes your lungs get more sick. You get pneumonia easier, so you get the flu easier. They were thinking about that. So the Spanish flu, the 1918 flu, which we talked about before, it went down during the summer. I'm sure, like, okay, finally it's over. But then when the winter hit, it came right back again full force. So they're thinking, is it possible, since it's sort of like the flu in lots of ways, will it go down in the summer? We don't know. There's some speculation. For some reason, like, African countries aren't getting as sick. And like, well, maybe because of the temperature is doing it. I think it's just because they're not testing anybody. And they're just going to get it later than we are. But some people say maybe the temperature protects people, but it might go back in the fall. That's why all of these stay-home orders in New York, they're for 2 weeks, for a month. Then we'll recheck and see how things are going, and then maybe let's start letting people out. They're going to slowly watch this, because the simple fact is, if we get a big crisis where, like, everyone in New York City, 1,000 people are going into the ER at once, there's not enough beds, not enough people to test, and then
it's going to be complete chaos. Complete chaos.
So they're building temporary hospitals to get over the peak, get over the hill. If we can get...
They have one at, like you mentioned, you gave me the picture at Kings County Hospital and at Maimonides and also at Jacob Javits Center.
Right. So they're setting up temporary bed hospitals, because if we can get it where everyone gets over the hump, you look at Italy. China, they locked everything down, and these cases went up, and then they stopped. and now they're seeing less new cases every day. They can handle that.
From what I heard, they're saying that most of the new cases now are localized in Hubei province, specifically in the city of Wuhan.
That's what they're thinking. The problem is, if you don't do anything, it'll spread like everywhere else. It'll just cover the map.
Exactly, right. So the main thing now is to try your best to combat this via containment.
Right. So containment, the health department is doing two different strategies. One, containment. Can we stop it from spreading anymore? It looks like we can't really do that. It's still spreading no matter what. We've done a lot to do it, but it's still going to spread. We've slowed it down. Second thing is community mitigation. Community, if we can slow down the number of cases going into the hospital, we're going to make sure that we don't run out of masks, run out of gowns, run out of hospital beds, because at a certain point we're going to tip over. People will, it'd be like the difference between us and, let's say, a third world country, Haiti, is we have a lot of medical staff, we have antibiotics, we have life support kits, like we can do stuff. But if we get too many cases, we become Haiti. We will not be no one will have a doctor, no one will have oxygen, no one's going to have gloves and gowns and stuff.
Right.
And so the reason only 1% of people in Germany who get COVID die or South Korea is because they have so many hospital beds and so many doctors, they can treat the really sick people.
And they just generally have a better healthcare system.
They do. But if our health...
Because, I mean, let's face it, in the United States, right, they're literally still conducting NASA space missions.
Yeah.
5%, and keep in mind, NASA is under the U.S. Department of Defense. Most people don't even know that. Literally 5% of NASA's budget could be used to create a universal healthcare system in the United States that could protect every U.S. citizen from these types of outbreaks.
Yeah,
it is not happening.
That's true. It comes out of
the United States is the only member of the G20 and the G8 that doesn't have universal healthcare.
That's true. That's very true. And as a result, you're seeing all of everything else just sort of...
We see the fruits of that. Because realistically, that don't make no damn sense. How is it possible for the United States to be what it is and not have universal health care? That literally doesn't make sense.
Yeah. Look at a place like Europe. You get paid sick time off. By law, they have to give that to you. So if you're sick...
look at the UK. Remember, not that long ago, they were actually debating whether or not they were going to shut down NHS. If they would have shut down NHS in the UK, a lot of bets UK probably would have been hit harder than Italy.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. It would have been, apocalyptic.
It would have been monstrous for the UK if they didn't have a universal health care, if they didn't have NHS.
Yeah. Because you're right. The way their systems are, their health system has free visits. Everyone can see a doctor, get their regular checkups. They're healthier overall because they're getting their regular checkups and everything else. Over here, they're not. So we have a somewhat sicker and a more obese population with more diabetes and everything else as a result. That's one thing. Second, without the paid sick leave, people are saying, look, I'm afraid I might have COVID. Yes, but what if I don't go to work, I can't pay rent, I'll have COVID and be homeless. So now they go to work and they...
So now they're literally making a life decision. They're saying, have COVID, don't check in, keep going to work, run the risk of dying or being the human cause of someone else's death, or not get treatment but starve.
Right. Yeah. So in a regular, when the governor says everyone who has a temperature, stay home, you're going to spread it, a lot of people saying, no, I can't, or no, I won't, because of this. And everywhere else, if you have paid sick leave, you stay home.
You wouldn't have a problem staying home because you're like, okay, the government got my back, so it's nothing. But that's not the case here. And in the United States, what separates us from a lot of nations is that we have the illusion of freedom.
Yeah.
Like, we pontificate and promote freedoms that we really don't even have. Like, the fact that we don't have universal health care, that's kind of proof that we ain't free.
Yeah. It's true. It's very true.
Because if we were really free, like we pontificate, like we claim, we would have free healthcare.
Absolutely. I mean, what's there to say? What else is there to say? I mean, that's just the truth of how things are. If our healthcare system collapses, we're going to go from, I know people keep saying, well, only 3% of people who get COVID die from it. Yes, if you're in a good healthcare system. Point. Yeah.
Right.
And if you're in a place where there's no healthcare, or the whole thing collapses, where, fine, you might have a world-class hospital in New York City, but if you can't get into it, what's it matter? You're no different than a
right.
person.
And then going back to the ethics, it's like who gets to get the treatment and who gets shut away, and who gets to decide that.
Right. We're trying. They're actually trying to spread to health professionals. Like, look, we've got to start thinking of this now, because by April you're not going to have time to think this through. You've got to look at who gets assigned. Is it first come, first serve? Is it whoever gets in the hospital door first, or should we take it away and give it to people who need it? Like, this is a problem. I'm trying to see if I have a good record of this to show, because we're in a mess right now. There are a lot of ideas in healthcare, because we've talked about the ethics, the ethical values in healthcare for quite a while. We want to maximize the benefits, okay? How do you do that? Save the most lives, okay? But save the most lives, okay. We got to test more people. Now, save the most lives means I'm going to quarantine certain people. Those people who say, I'm not staying home, I'm going out shopping, even if I'm sick or not, well, what are you going to do? I got to get the police to say, no, I'm forcing you in your house. Now,
which brings up the martial law argument.
Yeah. So,
which is another issue by definition.
So for this pandemic, saving the most lives is now the #1 priority. Yes, I've taken away some freedoms. I'm going to have to. I have no choice. If I say mandatory quarantine, you're going to have to do it, because otherwise, yes, took away freedom. Fine. The governor, one of the governors said, look, it's not about your freedom. This is a Republican governor in Kentucky. This is not about your freedom, okay? This is about me trying to make sure you don't go home and kill your grandfather. So that's what we got. So maximize benefits, save the most lives, highest priority. That's the first priority in this pandemic, okay? Second, treat people equally, okay? So first come, first served? No, we're not doing that. This is not who can get the vaccine first, whoever gets in the door first. This is, we're going to have to randomly select people, okay? We're going to have random vaccines when this is all done. You still there?
Yeah, I'm still here.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's not going to be whoever pays the most gets it. No, we're going to take that away. We're going to have patients with similar prognosis with random selection for treatment. We're not going to say whoever gives the most money to the hospital gets treated. We're not going to do that. We're going to say maybe give priority to certain ages, maybe, but that's it. We're not going to do it otherwise. Okay. Second, there's something about benefit to others. What does the most good for the most people? That's something called utilitarianism, where what can we do the most good for the most people, okay?
Right.
Some people are like, well, whoever is the most contributions to society should get treated first. Well, I don't always go for that, because you're going to be
That's going to be very relative as well.
Yeah.
Like, who gets to decide that?
Right.
If you take that route, who gets to decide that? Because if you take it that route, then mass amounts of people are going to be ethnocentrically genocided.
Yeah.
They're going to be thrown to the wolves.
Oh, yeah. Well, let me give you the opposite opinion, just to throw this out there, okay? I agree with you. We should not give him priority. But what if there's only enough antibiotics to go around, but the person, the researcher who's making the vaccine gets sick? Should we make him #1 priority? Mm.
Yeah, if the person knows how to make it, yeah.
All right.
So, what's the point of letting the person who can try to make the situation better, what's the point of letting that person die?
Right. So some people might need priority here. How we're going to put it on a scale, Thank God that's not my call. But I'm going to say some people, the firefighters, they're going to have to get the vaccine first because otherwise they're not going to save any lives.
Right.
So there's
people like
things,
us who are like frontline healthcare workers and things like that. Right.
So now here's the thing. We want to give priority to the people who are sickest off, right? The worst off.
Right.
The sickest people first. Now, if I had a choice,
the people that are most vulnerable. Right.
Now, if I was stuck in that choice, should I give it to the people who are the sickest first or the youngest first? Now, that's a tough one.
That's a tough one. One of the reasons why that's so is because it's a known fact that most of the people dying from COVID-19 are not the very young. They're the very old.
Yes. So there is an argument why we should maximize all the hospital beds and stuff for the very old for that reason. It's true. We might save more lives that way. There's a theory. But, young people will spread it. You could be a carrier. And so young people are way more carriers. Right. So now if we have to prevent the spread...
And then also you have to remember something. The average parent, the average father or mother is not going to be like, oh, I'll sacrifice my child so an older person can live. That's not reality. The average father, the average mother, the average parent is going to be like, to hell with everybody else. My child comes first. Yeah. That's a humanly logical conclusion.
Yes.
You can't fault someone for having that type of posture.
Right. Exactly. So, and this is what we're stuck with. So now we have these are tough questions. There's no good answer. There's no great answer for us,
There's no such thing as an easy decision. There's only necessary decisions.
Yeah. And that's what we're stuck with. So I'm watching, I don't know if everyone gets the chance, Governor Cuomo does these once a day press conferences, news briefings. He said, look, the thing I got to tell you is facts. I'm going to tell you the facts of the situation. I'm not going to try making it sound better than it really is. If it's bad, you got to know the facts. Facts, good or bad, are what we need right now. So today he said, look, the curve, the number of cases is doubling. It's doubling every 4 days. It's gotten better. We've slowed things down with all of these shutdown of travel and everything. It was doubling in New York every 2 days. Now it's doubling every 4 days. Okay, we've slowed it down a little bit. It gives us a little more room to be able to handle cases because New York.
There's more flexibility, right?
Yeah, because New York State was
running. All right, so best case scenario, what would be the best option for New York State or New York City? Would it be the best option for it to be doubling every 10 days or every 14 days relative to the incubation period? What would be the best curve for us in New York State specifically?
The best curve, what we're trying to do is, you look at China. They made their curve, if you trust their numbers, and that's if you trust them, their curve went up, 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 and then it flattened. And so now there's 10 new cases a day. Only 10 new cases a day? Wow. But that's what they're saying. South Korea, who I trust a little more, they locked everything down. Everyone's staying home. You can get tests. Everyone gets tested. Come in for your appointment. We'll test everyone. So the whole country's getting tested. They're seeing, okay, we had 1,000 new cases a day, 500 new cases a day, 10, 20 new cases a day. Eventually, it's going to be in the negatives. There'll be no new cases, and more people are cured and recovering than new cases. Then the curve will go down, down, down. We're not at that peak yet. We want to flatten it out because if things don't stop, in 6 weeks, there will be so many sick people, new sick people, there's not enough hospital beds. We will have more sick people than there are beds. And then you're going to have people who could have survived but died because they couldn't get to a doctor.
Right.
And that's our work.
And then, like you said, going back to the ethics, doctors are going to have to decide who lives versus who dies.
Yeah.
Which is literally what's happening right now.
As it stands right now, if you have 100 patients who get COVID, 3 of them will die. Okay? But if we run out of hospital beds and no doctors and no, oxygen, you're going to have 7 people are going to die instead of just 3. That's a huge difference in death.
Huge difference. Huge difference.
And that's why everyone's running around. It's almost 8 o'clock here. I'm still in the office because we're trying to get everyone tested. We're trying to, isolate people. We're trying to call people. And, in addition to the regular, people have diabetes. I had a patient broke her leg. Well, she got to go to the hospital because I'd rather she stay home, but no, she got to go to the hospital. We better get her,
Right.
in a cast quickly and get home because I'm going to need those beds soon.
Right.
Like normally
Gotta make it expedient. Right.
in a regular
Right.
world, she'd be in the hospital for a week. We give her rehab, we get her strength back up, we give her antibiotics.
Right.
No, very.
And then Alano's best, because of that rush treatment, Alano's best, her leg will not heal properly.
If we rush it, if we don't give everyone the best care, yeah. So now we have to make this judgment call. Because the surgeon's going to be like, look, we need you because we have 50 people who need other kinds of surgeries, or need you because we're running out of doctors to treat all the sick people in the emergency room downstairs. Who's going to benefit? What benefits the most? We're trying to do the greatest good for the greatest number of people. And now we're trying to make bad judgment calls. And I'm giving you just a sneak preview. It's not even April yet. By April, you're going to start seeing this happen. You're going to have people... I had to send people home. I wish they stayed in the hospital because I'm going to tell you, I've had patients who are like 25 years old who had really bad COVID, like really bad pneumonia, they have hard trouble breathing, 104-degree fever. They can't sleep because of how bad the coughing is. In the real world, I'd say you got to go to the hospital. Maybe you're going to be fine, but I want to make sure a nurse is watching you. I couldn't do that.
Right.
I said, go home. Have your mom watch you. Have your mom check your temperature. And if you start getting too, woozy from the lack of oxygen, go to the ER. I can't treat you right now. I have no medication that can treat it, and I don't have the supplies to do it. So guess what
honestly,
happened?
the only refuge from this situation is Allah's help.
Yeah.
Like, seriously.
When it was early, exactly. That's the only thing we have to rely on right now because you really can't rely on medicine, science, or anything. This has gone beyond what anyone can handle. In a regular, ordinary world, if you had COVID, I'd put you in the hospital, have isolation, tell the family, stay home, isolate yourself, check your temperatures, quarantine them. No, now, I have sick patients who are home, and of course, a week later, their parents got sick. I couldn't do anything to stop it because where are they going to go? A hotel?
Yeah. Yeah.
So we're telling people if you are
in fact, even what's the name in the prison systems now?
Yes.
COVID-19 is running rampant in the prison systems.
COVID in the prison system is now getting out of control. The numbers from Rikers Island that it's doubling on a scale, like the same way it doubled in Italy and Germany. They're all locked in together. So instead of one person giving it to two people, you got one person giving it to way more than two people at a time. It's gonna multiply faster. Now, the jails, they've always had problems with disease. This is not a new thing, Tuberculosis.
Yeah, because of population density.
Tuberculosis was spread in prisons ever since for hundreds of years. We got better at it. New York City would take tuberculosis patients and isolate them. They would send them to the sick patients did not go to Rikers Island in New York City. They would actually go to Roosevelt Island. Roosevelt Island, before it was all apartments and high rises, it was a hospital jail island. It was for criminals and and mentally ill. This is before 59th Street Bridge. It was called Blackwell's Island. It was an island for the sick and the insane. That's where they went. Now they've gotten better. Sick patients will go to Rikers, but they confine them. Rikers has 950 infection beds, meaning they'll isolate them from the rest of the general population. There's not enough at this point. So there's pressure. They're trying to tell Mayor de Blasio, look, can you send them home? Because on one hand,
but see, even with that, whoever they go home to, they run the risk of infecting their loved ones.
Yeah. So this is the problem. We have two responsibilities. One, our responsibility to keep people who are in jail safe, and that's true because people who are in Rikers, a lot of them have not gone on trial yet or have a minor thing,
or they're still in transit. They either their sentences are ending, they're on their way home, stuff like that.
Right.
So not only is this a crisis in terms of public health, this is an issue of the public good.
Exactly. So can we afford to send everyone home? And if we know some people are convicted, some people are accused of violent felonies, but have not been convicted yet. So now here's the problem: we have to balance the public safety. Opening a jail is public safety risk. At the same time,
that's public safety 101.
Yes. However, in normal circumstances, in a normal condition, in a non-emergency, people who are in Rikers are going to say, look, it's dangerous to my life to stay in Rikers because I have COPD, I have diabetes and blood pressure, and my risk goes up.
Any pre-existing condition, right?
Exactly. If you have severe asthma and you get COVID, that could be dangerous. So now
that could kill you.
That could kill you.
That could kill you.
So what are you going to do? I mean, I could put him in solitary maybe, but there's not enough beds, so that's sort of out. But pretend there was, that causes its own problems.
And there's not enough solitary cells for that either.
Yeah. There's nothing here is risk-free. Now you have to judge what is the lowest risk option right now.
Right. And then even in terms of Islam, right, in terms of protocol for burying the dead, now there's actual protocols to saying that, like, because COVID-19 is so communicable, because it's so contagious, you can't give someone an actual ghusl. You can't actually wash a person's body. You have to do tayammum. You have to do dirt over their crash bag.
Yeah. So this
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, absolutely. So this is I've someone
or it might get to Islamically where you may have to just mass bury people at one time and do a janazah like how they do in Al-Mecca. You might have to do a janazah for up to 20, 30 people at a time.
It looks like Iran is already doing that because they've been hit so badly by
They've been on that. Yeah, they've been doing it. Yeah.
So they don't want to talk about it because obviously it's for many reasons.
It's crucial.
Yeah. So we're seeing satellite photos of mass graves.
Right. No, there was actually a report how they used prisoners, inmates, and Rikers to be building, like, digging mass graves and stuff like that.
So New York City has an emergency plan for COVID, and part of the plan involves, because look, if this didn't stop, we're looking at 40,000 dead in New York City. You're talking about worse than 9/11.
Really?
Oh yeah, and that's that's if we did nothing to stop it. If we just let it run rampant and didn't shut down the schools.
Oh, you mean if you just let COVID-19 do what it does, basically?
If you let it do what it does, we would have had 400,000 dead people in New York City.
Wow.
With all of this, the New York pause, the shutdown, closing everything,
right,
we're still looking at a risk of 40,000 dead people by the end of
that's still for New York City, that's a hell of a lot of people.
I hope we're overreacting. Everyone says, like, I really hope we're overreacting. I hope we overestimated. But actually, that's sort of on the low end. We could be looking at, 40,000 dead New Yorkers by next spring, because senior citizens, nursing homes are starting to get contaminated.
Right.
People, 1 out of 4 kids in New York have asthma.
Yeah. Exactly. And by definition, that's a pre-existing condition. Now, nationwide, what's the human projection for COVID-19 deaths in the U.S.? Or have they given an estimation?
Estimating, I'm giving the low balls because honestly, they're kind of frightening just to say out loud. If we don't do more than we're doing right now, we're looking at maybe 2 million dead.
2 million people? 2 million deaths?
There's 325 million people in America right now, and if we're doing
there's roughly over 300 million Americans, right?
Yeah,
about 300 million people that live in the U.S. So you're saying 2 million deaths?
Yeah, assuming we got down to like 1% death, you're looking at 2 million dead people.
That's scary.
Yes. This is why all the epidemiologists are like, you got to shut everything down, shut it down now nationwide, because it's going to spread and spread. It's still spreading right now. People are giving it to their neighbors because they're going to the neighbors' houses. We told people don't gather more than 50 people, but people are still doing small group gatherings, and people are still
which
going.
is a serious problem.
Yeah. And even today, I'm still seeing, even though we locked everything down, I'm still seeing new cases where people gave it to, one person got sick, they stayed home and gave it because the whole family's shut in. They give it to other people in the family, give it to the mom and dad, and that's a problem. So now I can monitor that. I am seeing some people who are our age who have nothing right now. They got a little bit of a cough, but it went away, and they test positive. Were they one of the lucky ones who just got a mild case or just a carrier? Because the problem is they got kids at home, and it looks like, the mild case, someone who got it but got better, gave it to their husband or wife. So
And again, that's the problem. The problem isn't the vast majority of people who are going to get it. The problem is the fact that how fast it spreads.
Yeah.
That's the issue.
Yeah.
That's the issue.
It's a weird world because right now, Asia got it first, then Italy and Iran and parts of Europe got it. U.S. got it as well at the same time. But we got a much bigger explosion than Europe did for a lot of. New York got more.
You know why? Because we dropped the ball. Because the United States government dropped the ball.
Yeah.
That's why.
Oh, yeah. New York City New York has one of the biggest clusters in the world right now of cases. More than anywhere else.
Yeah.
And so now, how ironic, Mexico shut the border. They won't let Americans in because they want COVID to spread from America.
So in other words, they built the wall. They built the wall before Trump did.
Yep. Yes, they did.
Talk about irony.
They're bringing drugs. They're bringing crime. They're bringing diseases. We don't want Americans in our country.
How ironic.
How ironic.
How ironic.
What a world we're living in.
I mean, all you can say is, may you just ask Allah to help us, man, because there's really no refuge from this except Him. And for all those who are listening, try your best to have hope in the mercy of Allah and don't give in to fear and panic. But at the same time, be aware of the situation, make intelligent decisions. If you know you're sick, if you feel you're sick, stay away from healthy people. If you yourself are healthy, stay away from people who you think or know are sick. Keep your loved ones away from people who you think or know are sick. Try to get medical attention immediately. Do not delay it.
Yeah.
Try your best to follow any and all ordinances, governmental and medical, because these are just the circumstances under which we're in. And like I said, we just have to place everything in the hands of Allah, because Allah is the only one that has the ability to rescue us from this situation.
Yeah. I just want to add to that, if you're watching this and you're not in New York, the rest of the country is a couple weeks behind us, meaning, New York has all these cases. New York locked everything down and is now starting to get. New York is getting all these cases. New York shut down. New York is getting overwhelmed with cases. If you're in Illinois, you're in Ohio, you're in, Arizona,
Indiana or Montana, right?
You're gonna get it. It's gonna be just like here, just a month or two from now. So we've never had this in America before. America, New York, we've had remember Superstorm Sandy? The city shut down. Everything was a mess. We lost utilities. We lost a lot of stuff. Hurricane Katrina damaged, New Orleans and Louisiana. We had that happen. We never had in all 50 states before at the same time.
Right.
This is something we've never seen before. This is 9/11 was bad, but 9/11 affected New York City, but the rest of the country kind of kept going on. They had everything still working. This is like that for every city. Eventually, it's going to spread across the map it's a plague.
Yeah.
So we're going to do what we can to slow things down. That's what we're working on. But at a certain point, the rest of the country is sending over supplies to New York. What's going to happen when they run out over there at their end? Like you said, the masks coming from China.
Yeah.
So I probably have been hearing The CDC is recommending, look, don't go into a patient room without a mask on, without a mask, goggles, gown, and gloves. We ran out. I don't have enough over here. Okay, if you can't do that, go to a paint store, get a painter's mask, and wear the paint mask. It's almost as good. Okay.
Wow.
Well, we ran out of those too. CDC says, okay, there are hospitals in New York City where the nurses ran out of masks. Okay, get a bandana, wrap it around your face, and wear it. It kind of works. It's better than nothing. And that's the real, actual answer we're getting.
That's ridiculous.
It is ridiculous. And so now, here's the problem. Like, I'm risking my own health because now it's not just, okay, I'm not being selfish. If I get sick, A, I can't go back to work. I can't treat any more patients for 2 weeks. And second, I risk in that 14-day window giving it to other people. And so now I don't want to be another casualty. It's just like fighting a fire, but like people can catch fire and give it to other people.
No. It's like fighting a fire, but putting gasoline on your clothing.
Yeah. It's like fighting a fire, but you can bring the fire home and light everyone else at home on fire.
Exactly.
It's a very different kind of thing. We've never had this sort of like natural disaster to deal with. We got kind of complacent. We got kind of relaxed and said, this is a. You ever hear the phrase?
I mean, this is definitely it's definitely a wake up call from Allah, without a doubt. It's a wake up call. Definitely a wake up call.
You ever hear the phrase, there are no atheists in foxholes?
Yeah, it's a military concept.
Back in World War I, the bombs were dropping. You had to dig a hole and hide it until the bombs stopped falling,
In the trenches.
In the trenches.
Warfare, yeah.
So you dug a foxhole, a small hole, hid your body underneath it until the machine gun stopped and until the bomb stopped dropping. You were stuck there for as long as necessary. You were stuck in the foxhole for as long as necessary. And so they said at the time, there was no atheists in those foxholes. Even atheists were praying to God, like, I got nothing. I am absolutely helpless now. And I'm in what looks like a grave.
Yeah.
So, no atheists in foxholes. People in times of crisis will turn to religion. And that's a good thing, I think, as long as people don't, Islam is special. We don't have dogma. We don't blindly trust things. We're told not to. We're told not to accept any evidence or information until you verify it. Same thing, don't forward WhatsApp rumors until you verify it for yourself. You're going to start hearing,
exactly.
and I guarantee, just like after 9/11, just like after every natural disaster, I heard from a friend who works at a hospital that they're going to start giving out masks. Everyone get one right this second so the hospital fills with people. Or I heard from a friend that they're going to start shutting all the grocery stores. You better go right now and get all the bottled water you can. And what happens? There's a panic at the grocery stores.
And that's exactly what's been happening, the fear and the panic culture.
So I'm telling everyone, don't forward rumors. Don't give in to fear and panic culture. There's a hadith that if you spread a rumor like this without checking for yourself, you are just as guilty as the one who spreads that rumor, who started the rumor.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
I'm warning everyone.
That's pertaining to like gossip and backbiting, slander, all those type of things. Yeah. And whatever you spread, you're just as guilty as the person who initiated it.
You're gonna see for the rest of the year. I'm telling everyone, I'm seeing it now. You're gonna start seeing rumors. I heard someone said vitamin C cures this thing. Go out and eat the whole bottle. No.
No, people are saying that already.
Yeah, and it's not going to end. You're going to see more of this. You're going to hear Dr. So-and-so has a secret stash of chloroquine treatments. I heard from my neighbor that he's got some. Forward this along. We'll all get it before they run out. Or CVS and got some, treatments, medications in. You're going to start seeing rumors fly. You're going to start seeing, Mark Zuckerberg got cured already. People in India, Muslims die from rumors like this. Rumor has it that so-and-so was eating beef, and people went in India and lynched Muslims for doing this. We're going to start seeing panic breakdown. If we find out in 6 months that remdesivir, which is a AIDS medication, can cure this thing, we're going to see a massive shortage like that. And then you're going to see anyone got it in their medicine cabinet left over, I want some. You're going to start seeing people selling this in the black market. You're going to start seeing a lot of crazy things happen.
Yeah.
This is not just, we can
like,
laugh right now.
Like you said, if that particular medication works the way it's projected, that's going to be the new crack.
Oh, yeah. Oh, my God, yes. You're going to start seeing that on the black market. People will be paying like $20 a pill for it. $50 a pill. What am I saying?
Definitely.
$100 a pill.
Yeah.
You know, money's not going to be an object. People are going to be desperate looking for this. We can laugh right now. Look at these idiots buying all the toilet paper. Yeah, it's funny because, we can do without. And we have a lot of toilet paper. But you're going to start seeing stuff like this happen. Right now, everyone...
to be honest, it's already happening. It's already happening.
Every Chinese restaurant is closed in New York because I would love to get some takeout Chinese, but none of them are open because no one wants to buy it. They're shuttered. Have you found any? Because I can't.
Play center.
Sorry, say again?
I said the only one that I know that's still open is No Pork. Is on 4th and Atlantic. I mean not Atlantic, 4th and Pacific.
I wish I could go there, but that's like all in New York City, and I don't want to travel in New York City because of the travel advisories, you know?
Yeah.
I'm pretty far. I'm on Long Island.
No, and that's crazy. Within the US, within New York City, there's more heightened travel advisories than other countries right now.
Oh yeah. New York, we got hit earlier. That's just a fact. It could have happened in LA and then come to us, and we would have the same exact thing happen. You know, it's just we're a lot more connected.
No, but see, this is the thing. It did hit the West Coast before us. It hit the West Coast, and then it spread to the East Coast.
That's true. They had gotten cases. It looks like Seattle got cases for weeks and weeks and weeks before we did. They were just mild cases. People were spreading around. People thought they had the flu, and they treated it like that. They didn't notice it until someone died of COVID, and then they're like, wait a second, how'd they get sick? And they realized they got it from other people. So you're looking at, the problem is we're still testing people. And because we ran out of masks, they said stop testing everyone who's not in the hospital. Now they changed today. We're going to start testing people in the office. We're going to have drive-through clinics, drive-through testing places. You're going to have testing centers in all 5 boroughs in New York City. They're ramping it up because they think we can find out more. At the same time, you know, I'm sure there's a lot more people. Right now, what I said, the 7,000 people who have it right now in New York, it's probably 70,000 people who are positive. I'm not joking.
That many?
I'm really lowballing it. It really could be 100,000 people, you know. Who knows how many people are getting it, just get a little sick and have a cough and it goes away. Some people that, you know, how many people have got over it already?
That's also true. Right.
So without good numbers, I mean, like I said, you and I agree, the government dropped the ball on this. There were some people, there were some very heroic and smart epidemiologists, public health people who were like hitting the panic button. We got to get in on this. We got to start getting supplies. We got to start testing. They rolled it out. One of the problems was initially early on, the test kits came from China because China had sort of figured out a way to test for this. So they sent it all over the U.S. Normally in the real world, we test this thing and check it. Is it accurate? Is it working? You know, but they rushed this one because it's an emergency. Turns out a lot of the early tests were broken. They didn't work. So were they really negative? We don't know. They've gotten better. They sent out updated kits, better kits. The lab I spoke to said that they're doing tests round the clock, but you know there's such a flood of it. Where I am in my office, if you come in to see me, not in the hospital, I can test you. It's going to take 7 days for a result. Normally it was 3 days, but they got so slammed with people and such a long line for it. Now it's a 7-day wait. The health department will test people faster if you're in the hospital to do a fast test, but we don't have those. So
but you know, also, you know, this reminds me of what Allah says in chapter 21, verse 35, when Allah speaks in Surah Al-Anbiya, the chapter of the prophets. Allah says, "Every soul shall taste death, and we challenge you via negativity and positivity as a test."
Yes.
and you'll return to us, right? So every single thing that occurs, everything that Allah allows or imposes, it's a test, right? And it challenges us to see how we're going to behave, right?
Yeah.
So, and we also there's always good that follows evil, right? Just like when Allah says in the Quran, with hardship there's ease, right? And then Allah mentions that twice. Allah says, "Verily, with hardship is ease."
Yeah.
There's verily with hardship there's ease, right? So we have to believe that as Muslims, right? So the ease that I've been able to see because of COVID-19 is that mass industrialization has halted and it's slowed down. And ironically, when we spoke the last time, it was actually very positive for the planet because ecosystems have become revitalized. Like for example, in Venice, Italy, right? Because they stopped the canal boats, the gondoliers.
Yeah.
Because they stopped the canal tourist vessels, the waters in Venice started to get cleaner. They actually spotted dolphins.
Wow.
They haven't seen dolphins in six decades in Venice. Literally, whole ecosystems across the planet have been revitalized because the earth has literally gotten a break because there's less pollution. Literally, the carbon footprint in China has shrunk because of the lack of mass industrialization.
Yeah. I see what you're saying.
You know what I'm saying? So for us as Muslims, anytime that we see a test, we have to try to see the positive that exists within the test and not just the negative.
Right. So I'm trying to think what else we could say. I do want to give some advice to the public. For one thing, we need to have discussions with everyone about this because we should have talked to people who are at risk, okay? If you have asthma, if you have COPD, if you have a heart condition, make sure everyone has a will.
Anything that's immunocompromising.
Yeah. Realize they need to get monitored, checked, kept, be aware that there are higher risks for them. Everyone should have a will. You need a will right now, okay? Make sure you have a will.
Yeah.
We have no idea if you're going to live to the end of the year. All right?
That's true.
I mean, in hadith, there's a hadith, or Hazrat Omar said, you should live.
Yeah, no, there's a narration, like even if a person is traveling, they should never travel without having a will. Yeah.
Because the idea is live as if you're not sure if you'll live till tomorrow. You have to make sure you have your affairs in order. We need that. Okay, everyone should have a will.
Exactly.
Okay? Get what they call advanced directives. Everyone should have an advanced directive. Think about it now. Talk to your family, because what's going to happen is if 3, 4, 5% of the public is going to go to the ICU for this thing, if you don't put on life support, you're going to have to be intubated. If you have to get severe, it's going to have to be put on a ventilator or put on life support systems. Do you want that? Some people will survive, some people will not. I just want to give that out there.
Yeah.
Do you want to live on a machine? Some people, we need to know, if you are what they call DNR, do not resuscitate. If my heart stops, do not resuscitate me. If I stop breathing, do not give me oxygen. Do not put a tube down my throat. You better let the people know this now, because we're going to need to know this. We're going to run out of supplies to intubate people. So if you don't want to be on that, let your family know. Get it in writing. New York State and every state.
It's very important. It's very important. Yeah.
New York State has forms to fill out, what they call a living will. In the event that my heart stops and I'm not dead yet, I don't want to be on a ventilator. I don't want to be on oxygen. I don't want to have blood transfusions. I don't want this, or that. Okay? You can do these, but it has to be written down. It's called a living will or a healthcare proxy, which is where you say, in the event that I am in a coma or I can't speak, I want my brother, my mother, my wife
to be power of attorney.
Power of attorney. They can tell the doctor what decisions to make. Do I want to be on life support if I'm in a coma? You need to know this now. So, honestly, everyone should have these discussions. And they should be honest ones with community members. Look, I don't want to sugarcoat it. People I know, people you know will die. You're going to have a lot of, maybe some elderly patients.
Yeah.
I'm seeing young people. Some people, there's already a celebrity who was on TV, one of the guys on Top Chef, he died. Young guy.
Wow.
And that was on today's news. You're going to see a lot of celebrities get this as well. I mean, Tom Hanks says this, and the Queen and the Prince Charles of England have it. you're
Yeah.
going to start seeing people die from this. So you're going to start seeing it hit home for people. Everyone's got a point where it hits home. Like if you start seeing like a janaza in your community, like, oh, you know, it doesn't hit home for you until someone you know or until someone your age and someone like you dies from this, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
And that's the thing.
Yeah. I mean, the only thing that we could do is ask Allah to protect us, and then do our best to protect ourselves.
Yeah, pretty much. All right. I think, unfortunately, I've talked too long. I, unfortunately, have some more patients to get to check on.
Yeah.
And,
That's a good thing, man.
all right.
So, inshallah, keep in touch with us. But make sure that you post it on the Facebook page and YouTube.
Yeah.
And anybody who has any questions, they can forward it to us. And
Yes.
that's
For anyone who was
about
on
it.
our Facebook stream, our stream got interrupted. I am very sorry about that. We're going to post a recording of the entire thing later, which is better quality because we got internet connections. We're doing it right now where Gareth is trying to stream from Brooklyn to me on Long Island. I'm trying to record it and stream it out to Facebook. And we got a little just overwhelmed here. Sorry, folks.
Yeah.
All right. Have a good night, everyone.
All right, man.